So unfortunately today, guys, we're going to have a bit of a ranty type of video, but I think it's quite necessary, and it's because, in my opinion at least, DICE have completely dropped the ball with Portal in Battlefield 6. I don't think they've lived up to the community's expectations and what they promised us we would get out of Portal in the first place. There is a lot wrong with Portal right now, but I do believe there are things that they can do to turn this around, and I do want to highlight some of those in this video. As always, if you guys enjoy the content here on the channel, don't forget to hit that like button, hit the sub button to stay up to date with everything Battlefield 6. You guys know me, I cover all of the news here, as well as plenty of weapon guides and vehicle guides and that sort of stuff. So if that's something that rocks your boat, then feel free to tag along. And as always, thank you guys for your support. So before I made this video, I leapt in game and I took this screenshot for you guys to show you what is available if you go to the community tab in terms of community experiences. And all you've got is Hardcore Rush, which is an official DICE experience, and Closed Weapons Conquest. Now you guys, if you've been following the channel for a while, will know that I've been featuring lots and lots of map remakes. People have already remade maps like Zebra Tower, Grand Bazaar, No Shore Canals, even some Call of Duty maps like Kill House or Shipment. That are honestly very, very impressive, and at this point, I expected to see a playlist fully backed from DICE, so they'd have gone through all those experiences and validated them for themselves, given them full XP and etc., and put a playlist here right on the community tab so that when somebody wants to play, the matchmaker spins up a server and more people can join. But no, at the moment, we just don't have any support whatsoever. And then, if you go into the actual server browser, which is quite frankly in a laughable state at the moment, this is pretty much what you're going to see. Manhattan Bridge Running Club, which by the way is a bot farm server where there's a bunch of bots like running around the map and disarming MCOMs or something like that. XP AFK 1.44M, easy battle pass for casual players, and the rest of them are stuff like air superiority or practice servers for jets and helicopters, which, don't get me wrong, I think that's absolutely fine in Portal, but to be honest, DICE probably should have made that experience somewhere else in the game anyway. But if you're actually looking for a server that you can call your home in the server browser, you are definitely not going to find that here. Why they aren't featuring any grassroots, homegrown content like these map remakes in their official playlists is absolutely beyond me. And the sad thing is that people put hundreds of hours, in some cases, into creating these maps. And imagine, you know, Battlefield 6 releases, people are stoked for Portal 2.0. We've seen the editor, we've seen what's possible, right, with Godot, and it is very impressive. So people put all this time and effort and work into creating these fantastic experiences, only for nobody to play them. And I try as I have to feature them in my videos. The fact of the matter is that if I go and host one or you go and host one, nobody is going to join it because nobody can find it. And that is only a problem that DICE can solve. And that's not the only barrier to entry for the good experience that do exist in Portal but just aren't being found. Another one is that every single time DICE make any changes to Portal, a lot of these experiences have to be revalidated, and then the experience code changes automatically. So if I've made a video and said, hey guys, you can go and play a Zebra Tower remake, and this is the code, a couple of months down the line, that code may not even work anymore. And then, of course, the third thing is that all of these experiences, because they're custom-made maps, they don't have full XP. And that is, of course, because people are using Portal primarily to farm in the game, farm experience, do their challenges, that sort of stuff. And so DICE want to make sure that nobody gets to do that. Me, personally, I really couldn't give a toss if like Tom, Dick or Harry over there wants to farm XP, as long as I can have my fun Portal experiences with 100% XP, because let's be honest, nobody is going to be up for playing, let's say, a playlist of map remakes if they're not going to get full experience. And one way they can give them full experience, again, is if DICE actually step in here, they look at these experiences for themselves, they validate them themselves and say, okay, yes, this isn't an XP farm server, we can have bots on here, like bot backfill if they want, or we can just have regular players. They validate those experiences, and they put them into a playlist with a nice rotation there. And just to show you guys, from a point of view of somebody who's very passionate about Portal, this is from the Battlefield Portal Hub Twitter account, or the X account. And Battlefield Portal Hub is a website that's been around since Battlefield 2042's Portal, where they list all of the various Portal-made modes and the codes for them that you can play. It's updated all the time with the correct codes, and a lot of people behind that project are also creators themselves, and this is what they had to say. We got 2 meaningful content drops on Portal, a sandbox flat map and 4 RedSec free maps. Everything else is very disappointing and discouraging. There is almost no communication about Portal, it only ever gets a small mention at the bottom of patch notes or 5 seconds in a trailer. We are now a few weeks past the midpoint of Season 1, and no community experiences have really been highlighted on the Community tab. Only modes created by the Battlefield Studio are featured. There's no communication about bugs, and no official documentation is available. It's still very hard to find interesting experiences to play because the server browser is extremely bare bones. And let's not forget all of the filters and that. Just the whole UI in Battlefield 6 is one of the biggest failures in AAA gaming ever, as far as I'm concerned. And I know you might think I'm being too harsh, but I would say that's putting it mildly, and it certainly doesn't help with the server browser and all of that stuff. But anyway, the handling of XP and XP farms is horrendous. No clear decision is ever made one way or the other. Most changes end up limiting genuine players and creators, while XP farms still exist in large numbers. Reporting them does nothing. In short, once again, Portal is a gem that's being left on the side. It seems very clear that the team working on Portal is more than competent, given how powerful the tools and possibilities are. But the lack of support for the mode at the UI, meta, marketing, communication level ruins the experience for Portal creators and for the few remaining players on the mode. The Portal creator community is eager to build. People spend dozens, even hundreds of hours creating modes and maps that unfortunately are barely played for all the reasons mentioned above. It's genuinely disheartening. So it sounds like the guy who heads up that website is pretty much like at the end of his tether. He can't really be bothered going on with this anymore. And here's Matavata, who is probably the most well-known map creator. He has his own studio and he's working on a game as well. And he also says, I'm genuinely discouraged to do anything Portal at this point. I've been active in the Portal community since the beginning of Portal 2042, spent thousands of hours working on community things, spent probably more than an average salary in the website, servers, cash prize, etc. But the lack of support for it on the first season of Battlefield 6 is disheartening. I know it's still the beginning, but launch should have been the most important time for Portal to shine. We'll see what the future holds, but I won't expect a huge focus on it considering its current popularity. Still hopeful. So Battlefield 4 was supposed to have 4 different facets to it, right? There was the single player, there was the Battle Royale, there's of course the multiplayer, and then there was Portal. And I think we all just had such high hopes for Portal and to see what sort of experiences came out of there. You know, people really couldn't wait to get their teeth sunk in. But now it's become evident that DICE, at least it feels like to me, kind of just put the server browser in there because we were complaining for one and they were like, okay, we've got to make them happy, we've got to give them a server browser. But then they've just shown it like the least attention possible and given us like the absolute minimum amount of backup and support. And I think they really need to come in here and have another look at this. How can they actually support this and make a community out of it? I know they really like to get hung up on the XP farm servers, and we knew this from Battlefield 2042, and the experiences of that game is that if you give players these tools, they are going to use them to farm XP and, you know, to accomplish things in the game the easiest way possible. And in part, that is kind of DICE's own design of the game because they put challenges in there that they're sort of forcing you to do, you know, otherwise the FOMO is causing you to lose out. And understandably so, people are looking for the easiest way to do those. If we were back in like the Battlefield 4 days where there were really very few challenges, I guess there were assignments, but outside of that, you just played the game for the fun of playing it. And, you know, I really believe that this is a byproduct of modern day gaming, where it's all about retention, it's all about keeping people playing the game and constantly putting out new challenges. We've just seen new challenges go today with the Red Bull and challenges and stuff like that, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of Portal servers spinning up trying to accomplish them. I mean, just look at that stupid 200-meter headshot thing you had to do for one of the challenges. Like, how many servers were spun up in Portal just so people could accomplish that? So many servers were created when the game came out that you literally could not host a server. It was so overloaded. And I think that really is indicative of one of the major problems with modern gaming. Now, we've kind of got to live with it, right? We have to live with battle passes. We have to live with the retention-focused gaming and age that we live in. But then I kind of think DICE have to live with the fact that people are going to try and do it the easiest way possible. I think they should really just give, like, full XP for Portal servers. If people want to farm bots and get, like, you know, full experience from the bots, like, whatever, man. Like, if that's what you enjoy doing, like, playing against bots instead of real players, you do you. But, you know, I think if that's one of the hurdles, that's one of the barriers in making people enjoy actual proper experiences like map remakes or communities and servers in Portal where you feel like you have home and you can come on there after a long day at work or school and play with and against players that you're familiar with, then I think it's a sacrifice worth making. At the moment, of course, the system they have is that you can still get some experience against bots, you just don't get as much experience against them as you do against a regular player, but people are aware of that, and as soon as you make any sort of experience, whether it's a map remake or anything else where you mess around with the pre-designed maps for the game or the game modes in any way at all, it will be modified experience. You won't be getting full, and nobody will join your server. So there you go, guys. A rant over. I'm going to kind of leave it at that. I feel like this is just something that needed to be said. Most people don't really seem to care about Portal, to be honest with you, but I do. And I think it's really a missed opportunity. And like I said earlier, you know, if DICE were just to validate all of these experiences, they literally have tons of maps, free content for their game that they could be featuring on the homepage and putting out for us, maybe even between seasons, and they really just are not capitalizing on that. So, as usual, leave me your thoughts below, guys. Let me know what you think of this whole debacle, this whole situation. If you enjoyed the video today, you probably didn't because it was kind of ranty, but, you know, maybe it gave you something to think about. Leaving a like is always appreciated. Don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with everything Battlefield 6, and I'll see you guys in the next one.